Hello, welcome back once again to another tutorial. As you can see, I have an Indian lace to sew. So this is the design of my lace which I want to sew, and I want to show you on how to cut your bust and how to cut this your bust. Now it's a different way of cutting it from the ones I have been showing you. As I told you, I have several ways of cutting your bust, so this is another one which I have not shown you before. So it is totally different from what I have been showing you. So let me go ahead to show you on how to cut this. So what I have here is my fabric on fold, and how I was able to get my fabric on fold. I've said this several times. How to get your fabric on fold for your front is your largest part of your body measurement, which is for your blouse, it is your hip. It's your hip divided by 4 plus 4 inches. Your hip divided by 4 plus 4. That is what I was able to cut out for my front. Then for my back, I added 2 inches for my zipper allowance. That is what you can see right here for my zipper allowance for my back. So this aside, I will keep my back aside and then go ahead to calculate for my front. So what I'm going to do now is, so this is my bust measurement, shoulder to bust. I'm minus 4 inches because it is an off shoulder. So I took away 4 inches. I threw 4 inches away to get my full length plus 1 inch for sewing allowance at the down part. My full length is 26 plus 1 inch, making it 27 for sewing allowance, because I'm going to sew half inch at the upper part here, then half inch at this down part. So what I have is from my 4 inches to my bust, I have 11. My shoulder to bust is 11. My under bust is 14. I included half inch for sewing allowance. So this gives me 14 and half. I don't normally add my sewing allowance at the up because of the curve of my sewing. That was how I was able to get, because if I make it 11.5, when contouring my bust, it will shift down a bit. So with experience, I was able to correct this error. I have been adding half, and I don't want to waste much of your time. Let me go straight to the point. So after that, what I'm going to do now, my bust point, on how to get your bust point, is your bust divided by 6 plus 1.5. So my bust divided by 6 plus 1.5 gives me 4.2. So I have 4.2 here plus 0.5 for sewing allowance. 4.2 plus 0.5 for sewing allowance for my front. So that is the measurement which I'm going to add down to the least part of my blouse. So 4.2 plus 0.5, which is 4.7. So I took my 4.7 downward just like this. 4.7 down like this. And I'm going to connect it downward. So my 4.2 downward, which I have connected already. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to make this point for my dart. I'm going to make it 2.5 because my bust is 42. So I'm going to take 2.5 here. If your bust is 40, 39, 38, you can use 2. 37, you can still use 2. So 2.5, that is what I'm going to take from this part. So my 2.5, I'm going to divide it by 2. Divide my 2.5 divided by 2 will give me 1.2. So that 1.2, now I'm going to place 1.2 at this part here. And the other 1.2, I'm going to bring it here. So 1.2 plus 1.2 makes it 2.5. Now this down part, I'm going to come up by 3 inches. Come up by 3 inches. And at my upper part, I'm going to come in by 1 inch. By 1 inch, or you divide what you have here, that's the same thing I'm still going to get here. So 1.2, 1.2. So That is what I have here, 1.2, 1.2, the same thing with this other part. So what I'm going to do for my bust, I'm going to come down by 0.7 inch, 0.7, and I go up by 0.7. So after getting this, now I'm going to connect my under bust to my bust point just like this. So after connecting it just like what I'm going to do now is to connect it, roll it straight down to my 3 inches, which I took from the down to this point that I have here is 3 inches. So I'm going to connect it down just like this. So after all this, I'm going to impute my body's measurements now. So for my shoulder measurement is 14, my shoulder measurement is 15 divided by 2, give me 7.5. So here is my 7.5 plus 2.5, which I took here, plus 2.5 for my dart, which I'm going to cut out. You know, I included it in my shoulder measurement, so I'm going to put it back here, plus 1 inch for sewing allowance. I'm still going to shape in everything, but I'm just making my calculations like this. So I throw away 4 inches, then my armhole is 9. So you can see what I have there. So over to my bust measurement. My bust is 42 divided by 4 will give me will give me 10.5. So here is my 10.5 plus 1 inch for my dart intake, because I'm going to join my bust by 0.5 at this part, making it 1 inch. Then I'm going to include 2 inches for my sewing allowance. Then for my waistline, my waist is 37 divided by 4 gives me 9.25. So this is my 9.25, which I have here, 9.25. Then I'm going to include my 2.5 that I have here. Then I'm going to include my 2.5. Then I'm still going to take my 0.5, which is 1 inch for my joining of my dart here, 1 inch, plus my 2 inches for sewing allowance. So what I was able to get here, this is my waist measurement, which is this point, plus my 2.5. I bring my 2.5 after my waist measurement. I place back this my 2.5 because I'm going to cut this out, and I took the same measurement. I included it in my measurement, so I'm going to replace it back because I'm going to cut it out. After replacing it, I'm going to join here after everything when I want to. So I'm going to join 0.5, 0.5. So 0.5, 0.5, making it 1. So I replace it back here, 1. Then this point here is my 2 inches for sewing allowance. Then over to my hip. My hip is 45 divided by 4 give me 11.25. So I have 11.25 for my hip, plus 1 inch for the joining of my hip, this down part here, plus 1 inch for the joining, then plus 2 inches for sewing allowance. So that is what I have there. And I'll go ahead to connect my points together just like this. Connect it just like this. They connect this straight here just like this. So you can also go ahead to curve your armhole just like this. So after that, for my hip part now, I'm going to give it that hip shape, that hip curve. So I'm going to start from my 2 inches here to give the shape for my hip. You can make it 2.5, you can make it 2 inches. So let me make it 2 inches. to make your hip relax better. So this is this. So what I'm going to do now is to cut everything out. That is my center front, and this is my side front. So this is what we have. This is what we have right here. So after joining it like this, everything will fall in place just like this. So over to our back. So here is my back, and I'm going to let me place my fabric, then come back to you. So this is my back now. Back is the easiest thing to do so far. You can lick it like sweet. The easiest thing to do so far. So all you are going to do for your back is to mark your waistline just like this. Then mark this part downward. Make sure your mark is starting from that 3 inches which I took from this down. Make sure it's starting from there, mark downward. Then you mark only this part for your back. You're going to mark only this part. And what you're going to do now is to take this out. Then you're going to roll your line, connecting it like this. Connecting it like this. This my lines are too much. I don't know if you understand what I'm working with. Okay, so this is what I'm working with here. So what I'm going to do now is to place back your side just like this. Place your side back again like this. Center front like this. Then you're going to cut your side shape. You're going to cut it out. So this is what I have for my side, for my back, sorry. This is what I have for my back. So we have come to a conclusion of this tutorial. I don't know if I'll be able to show you on how to sew this. I have a video on how to sew your Indian lace. I don't know, I don't want to waste your time. I have a video on how to sew an Indian lace, but if you still want me to show you this, I don't really know. Let's see what will happen next if I will be able to show you.